Hey, everybody, Tanner Larsson here, and welcome back to the Optimized Ecommerce Podcast. Super excited to be with you guys again. I know we're out every week, but it seems like it's been a long time since I've been talking to you guys, but excited to share this with you. Today, we're joined by Joseph Liu. He is a BGS revenue optimization expert, been with us for a long time, works on our amplified stores, works on partner stores, also helps teach in some of our various education programs. So he's really well-rounded in the ecom space. And one of the things we're going to jam about today is how to sell your product and some of the mistakes people make when they try to sell, because typically people get this tunnel vision way of like, I have to sell. And they kind of miss the boat in what actually makes things sell. So the catchphrase here of what we're talking about is basically how to use emotion to do the selling, but you convert them with logic. So it's like a multi-step process to making your stuff convert and making your physical products sell really well. The information marketing space, these guys have been doing this for years. You see sales funnels, they're all about emotion backed up by logic to create the sell, right? In the physical product world on stores and things like that, you see people skipping that. They leave the emotion out and they just try to hammer with logic, or not even logic, just generic details. And that doesn't work. So Joe's going to take us through a whole bunch of stuff on that today. So Joe, thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think it's the second time that I've been on the podcast. And the great thing about having a ton of ROs joining the podcast, rotating, is we get a ton of information from different sides, from different angles. And I think that really gives BGS a very holistic approach to e-commerce. And today, what we want to cover is the art of selling, and a lot of approach to selling, especially on Facebook, online, is you have to take your ad strategy to your product page to how your store is basically structured to finish a sale, right? And that starts with the first approach. How do you acquire that first customer? How do you acquire that first clicking on your ad? And what type of emotions do they have leading up to landing on your page? And how are you handling that emotion and carry it through closing a sale? And that process is really a piece of art. And we're going to unpack a lot today on what that specific steps look like. What are the common mistakes a lot of e-com stores make when it comes to selling? And yeah, a lot of stuff we're going to cover today, and we're super excited.
Awesome. No, that's good. I think you actually started off with a great piece on that last little bit. You said, let's start with common mistakes. Like, what's one of the common mistakes that people make when they're selling their product? Mm-hmm. Let's just start there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first point of contact usually an e-com store would have with a potential customer starts from the ad, right? Either you're on Facebook or you're on Google or you're on Pinterest, wherever you get your traffic from. And that first initial contact that you have with that potential customer is usually, a lot of e-com stores do this, is here's my shiny product, buy this. We're really, really good. Me. We're awesome. We're number one rated product on this and that. And this is why you should buy, blah, blah, blah. And that usually freaks people out, right? Because it's basically you telling them like, all by yourself and, buy from me. Imagine if you're at a party and you're kind of a hot girl at a party and some dude come up to you and go, hey, what's your number? Can I go out with you? Would you want to go on a date with me? That's kind of a little bit too quick, right? Like, come on, too strong. Like,
or being the guy that comes up to him and goes, hey, I'm the best at this. I'm the greatest at that. I have more color options than anybody else. Or like, she's going to be like, what?
Yeah. What a jerk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what a lot of e-com stores do when it comes to selling. It's just like, boom, buy my product. I'm the greatest. It's not really about connecting to the customer. What's in it for them, right? It's kind of getting through that emotional journey of like introducing to yourself, like to this customer, like what it is you're trying to sell. How is it good for the customers? Why should they buy? And a good method of this would be, I actually read it from another blog article from a copywriter. They call it the spotlight method. And what that basically means is when you're on a stage, think of yourself, your brand as a person, and your customers are the opposite side of the stage. We have a group of people. And the spotlight method is usually, a lot of people do this. They put the spotlight on themselves and talk about the company's goals, its attractiveness, its traits, and that will usually be their, value proposition on their ad or on their landing page. So for example, let's say BGS as a company, our value proposition, or if we put it all about ourselves, us, me, it would be, our landing page would be the #1 rated ecom store, optimizing agency, or the go-to guru for your e-commerce sales, right? This is all about us. But if we switch that spotlight to our customers and it kind of light up and shed lights on what they need, what their goals are, what their hopes and dreams are, it would be changing the landing page headline would be, is your store profitable? Come find out the 6 optimization tweaks that we can help you drive your sales, right? Once you have that spotlight method change to what the potential customers' hopes and dreams and needs, their goals are, then you change your copywriting to what the customers' needs and wants are. And that's really about, changing it from all about me, us as a brand to what are your needs as a customers and how our product can fulfill those needs.
That's a very big piece. Like you naturally want, it's our natural inclination in terms of sales to do the me approach, because it's like, well, they need to know that we're good at this and we're great at this. And they need and that's, you're not necessarily, you're trying to help the customer. You're not trying to be, a stuck up jerk who just talks about themselves. You're actually trying to hey, I think the customer needs to know this stuff. So you kind of word vomit on them all this stuff about how awesome you are, thinking that it's helping them make the decision and the comfort level to buy the product. When in reality, like you're saying, they just want to know about what's in it for them. Why is this product important to them? And those other things about, that you're the market leader in this, or you're the best selling this, or you're that's some of that more logical stuff that will then help them make the decision once they've already realized that, hey, this is what it does for me, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I guess we can take an example of, let's say if we're selling massage guns, right? An emotional state of connect with your customers would be, hey, are you struggling to recover from your leg day? Like on Monday to Tuesday, you have to do some deadlifts. Like you're being very specific and very emotional about, are you struggling to keep up? Like, are your friends, squatting more than you and recovering faster than you, but you can't keep up? Hey, we have this tool that can help you release your pain and help you recover faster by using this massage gun. All of a sudden, you're switching from telling people we're the best massage gun company out there to, hey, this is your need, and we know what that feels like. Here's a tool that can help you get to that transformation, and that's why emotion is so important.
So yeah, let's actually dig into that a little more. Why specifically are the emotions so important to the sales process?
Absolutely. So a good way to put it would be there are different type of buyers online. Usually 50% of your buyers that are, if you see their ad and you're really interested, they will buy from you right away. And that's like a kind of 50% of, we call them impulse buyers. And that's because they're going after a transformation. For every decision we make in life, there's always, especially if you buy something, you're looking for a transformation. You're looking for a change of status, right? From point A to point B, being either you're in a painful situation, you want to have a pain relief. That's changing. That's having a status change. It's having a transformation. If you're buying a beautiful car, that's a change of status. You want to have a beautiful car so your friends can see it, so your colleagues can see it, and so it makes you look cool. And everyone is looking for that transformation to fit a emotional need within themselves. And a good way to look at it would be like finding out. I was reading this book, and it's called Letting Go. And this is a book that Matthew Stafford, our BGS leader, a co-founder of BGS, recommended to me. So it talks about this concept of every choice that we make in life has this emotional reason behind it. And And to find out what that really emotional reason is, you can ask yourself the question, like, what for? So for example, if I want to buy a beautiful Ferrari car to have the money, I would ask myself, what do I need the car for? And the answer would be, I want to feel respected, have a better status, and that I feel like that increases my reputation and stuff like that, right? And then you ask again, like, what do I need respect and like increasing status for? What for? It's because I want to feel a sense of security. And then you ask yourself, what do I need security for? Oh, it's because I need to feel happy. And so all of a sudden it gets really, really deep into why people are buying these products online, or what people are buying products in real life. And that's why emotion is such a deep factor to tap into when you're trying to sell something. It's really about a deeper emotional need whenever people are buying some stuff. And being able to tap into that, it's not like we're making money off of someone's emotions, but instead it's really filling a need that someone has. If you have a good product that really solves a problem people have, and you can tap into it emotionally, people will relate to it. They will want to basically look at your product as a solution to their emotional need and convert from there. So that's why emotions is really, really important.
That makes a lot of sense too. And I want to reiterate one of the points, that every purchasing decision is made based on an emotion, whether, even if the emotion, like I buy food because I'm hungry. Okay. That's still an emotion that made you buy the food, right? There's something there. Or I need to feed my kids. Like, I'm not hungry right now, but the emotion is my kids are going to starve if I don't buy them food. So I got to buy them food. So at the most simple and basic level of purchasing, you do that. Same thing with your cell phone, same thing, anything you're buying, there has that emotion with it. And it's the products and the businesses that sell the best and have the best customer acquisition strategies and everything are the ones that figure out what are those key emotions that people are feeling as they relate to the product that they're selling. And how do you're not like trying to get them to feel something specific. All you're trying to do is, present your product so that it taps into what they're already feeling. And then the customer makes the connection between the emotion and the product. And then they want to buy it because it actually solves that need. So Joe, that was a great walk up to that, but let's make it more practical now. So what are some of the best ways to use emotion in a sales process? This could be on a store or a funnel, whatever, but how do you actually use it in your sales process?
So that's a good way to segue into it. There's a lot of information that you're trying to pack into when you're selling online, right? You only have so much time and space. And a good way to piece information, compose it together into a very easy way to digest is through story. Storytelling is, whenever you can, telling stories is the best way to get somebody emotionally invested into your product, build a report, and think that your product is the only solution to their problem. And there's a saying, and Casey, one of our ROs, say it all the time. What stories, what they do to information is kind of like what music does to noise. There's a lot of information to digest all the time, right? And when you have a story that composes a hero, which typically the Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, that's how kind of most stories are composed, right? You have your heroes, and heroes struggle. He met a mentor, go on this journey, face the struggle, and then comes across on the other side after having a help, and then off the sunset, and beautiful ending to the story. So usually taking a prospect through a hero's journey in your storytelling, especially selling, is putting your prospect as like the hero of the story and allowing them to build rapport with what you're putting in there in the story, telling them what type of pain they've been experiencing, what type of help they have gotten before, and our product can build a possible solution and a better future for them. And that usually is the best way to inject emotions to your prospect in the selling selling process so they can get really invested. And I think a good way to put it would be like, for example, if I have a MacBook Pro, right? I bought it in 2018, and I think it's an entry-level MacBook Pro. And I thought it was the best thing because the one I had before was from 2013. It worked really, really slow. But I think a couple of months ago, Jeremy told me about this new MacBook Pro he got with an M1 chip and how he loves it. And I immediately put the two in together. Hey, like my MacBook Pro is working kind of slow. Maybe I need that M1 chip because Jeremy told me about his story. And all of a sudden I'm online all the time looking for MacBook Pro M1 chip products and trying to buy. In reality, it doesn't make that much difference. You're probably scrolling online, like with the work that we do. I'm probably only going to get 5 seconds increase on speed on page loads or processing on apps. I don't need that. But the fact that Jeremy told me about this M1 chip and how great it is, his story made me really, really want to buy this product. And looking at the M1 chips like seconds and all the specs online just kind of logically gives me an justify the reason that I want to buy it. So like stories is a huge thing. And whenever someone tells me how good a product is, I always just kind of hop right into it. And I'm an impulse buyer because of that.
Absolutely. And that's a big point. Again, you're hitting great things for everybody who's listening, guys. So, but if you're listening to this, he became an impulse buyer based on emotion. You want people to hit your site and buy the first time. Does that happen all the time? No, you sometimes multiple points of contact, but if you can engineer that by telling them the story that evokes the emotion and the feelings and taps into the feelings they already have and the thoughts that are already in their head, like you're telling a story to tie into the story that's in their head. Okay. That makes those mental connections between what they're already thinking, what they already think about themselves, what they already feel about life or whatever it is. And then by doing that, those stories connect. You've always heard facts tell and stories sell, right? Think about it when you talk to a person too. If the people you connect with the most are the ones that you can relate to on an emotional level through the stories that you tell. And like they start telling something, oh yeah, that happened to me. And then they say, oh yeah, but I did this. And not one-upping, but just relating based on story. And all of a sudden it's like, man, Joe, I've only known him for an hour, but I feel like I've known him my whole life. He's now my new best friend because we connected. That's the same way it works with products. And if you're telling the story, you're also evoking the aspect of being real, being raw, and caring. People buy from people. They don't buy from brands. They buy from people. They want to. And now in large cases, yeah, you're not buying from a person when you buy Coca-Cola or something like that. Those are mega brands. But in the small business world, people buy from the stories and the people that they can relate to and that they want to support. So you can tie all that together. But it's not just about the emotions, guys. So Joe, the next part I want you to dive into here is emotions aren't the only thing you need to use to sell, right? There's more to it than just the emotion, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so what?
Yeah. So before I hop into it, I'll tell you a quick story. So I just moved to Germany about, I would say 6 months ago, it was around end of July 2020. That was like in the middle of the pandemic. I flew from Taiwan to London, stay there for 2 weeks and to enter the EU from there. And then got into Germany. My fiance is over here. We weren't engaged at the time. So I needed a car when I came to Germany. And growing up, I love German cars, Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, all those cars. For Taiwanese, like in Taiwan, Volkswagen's a great car. Like it, top of the line, imported German cars, really good quality. But for Germany, Volkswagen is like the low end cars. It's like the people's car, right? So it's not really that exciting for them, for my fiance either. So I needed a car, and I, have a couple grand saved up in my savings account. And there's this car called Scirocco. Have you ever seen the Scirocco? Scirocco is this Volkswagen car, like a sports coupe. It's pretty small. It's very sport looking, kind of like very dashy. It's built on the same chassis as the Golf, Volkswagen Golf. but it has a really like a prettier design and, coupe sports to it. So my high school buddy, when I was 17, drove that car, a beautiful car. And he coming from a, pretty wealthy family. I didn't. And so that car was always like a really cool car to me. Emotionally, that was like, if you had that car, you got a ton of friends and you're popular at school. So when I came over, I saw that car and they were only like $4,000. You can buy a Scirocco in cash. And I was like, man, that's amazing. I got to get it. So I went in and bought it without telling my fiance, super happy about it. And, like, I was like, oh my God, this is the car that I've always wanted since high school. Amazing. And got home and she's like, oh, what did you buy? And all of a sudden the logic comes in. Oh, this is it's got great mileage on it. Doesn't have any scratch. It has good insurance and all that. So guys, this is where emotions and logic don't really connect, right? When you're emotional about a product, you can buy it if you're an impulse buyer, but a lot of times, not all your buyers are impulse buyers. Sometimes they have objections that need to be handled. That's where logic comes in, right? If you're selling, let's say you're selling a plane ticket, good price, what are your logic handles, objection handlers? Is that you have like ticket insurance, you have good luggage price, right? You have free cancellation, stuff like that. So whenever you're selling a product, you have to give the logical buyers reasons that they can't say no. So for example, that's where kind of like the UVP icons we have on stores come in. If you're selling, let's say a mug, right? And people are super excited about your mug and they will ask this question, but what if? But what if you have very slow shipping time? But what if this mug is not dishwasher safe? But what if this mug is not, it breaks easily? And that's where your logic objection handlers need to come in to give the logical buyers reasons why they should buy. So outside of emotion, I guess logic would be the most important thing in converting those sales, because not everyone's an impulse buyer. Sometimes people need to look into deeper and convince their spouse, hey, why I bought this car, and give them all this reason to justify their emotional decision.
Yeah, there's the people in the middle too. Like you hook them with the emotion and you push them over the line with the logic. Like, the mug, right? Oh, that's awesome. It's so cool. But most of the mugs I've seen, I bought like this, they chip or they're not dishwasher safe or, whatever. And as soon as they get to the page, the emotions pulled them in because the design on the mug or the story you told about it got them excited. They come to the page and they're like, right there, oh, it's dishwasher safe. It's, I don't know if it's plastic, it's BPA free. It's got all these things like, oh, and then wait, this mug, it's the same shape, but it's lighter. And you have all these different little features and that you also tie to a benefit with it. Yeah. That's where the whole feature and benefit piece comes in. But you do that. And then now, because people have been shopping, right? People know how to shop. And they also know that they bought things before that they've regretted. So when they want to buy something, they're also, if they got they're like the good guy and the bad guy on their shoulder, you got the emotional person and the factual person on their shoulder, like saying, Tanner, this mug is amazing. You need it. You'll love it. You'll show it to everybody. It's so awesome. Then you got the other guy going, dude, you buy so much crap. You don't need this. Remember the last thing you bought? Remember how like you were so unhappy, blah, blah, blah. It's probably not even dishwasher safe or whatever. And then so you got this going back and forth. You have to satisfy both of those voices. And the consumer wants to buy. So they're looking at it and they're emotionally charged and they want this mug, but they're they're almost beating themselves up. But then you're like, hey, here's the logic. Yeah, it's dishwasher safe. It's BPA free. It's lightweight and guaranteed not to chip. And you're like, oh, of course. Look, see, I'm making a right decision. I can buy this thing. I feel good about myself now. And then they can make the decision to buy without having that war. Your job is to enter the conversation in the customer's head and handle all of those things, the stories that they're telling themselves, and those objection handling things that Joe's talking about. So, I'm really enjoying this podcast because we're talking about stuff that's not, oh, well, what color should my button be? Or, where should I do that? It's literally the buyer psychology, which is a much bigger piece of how everything works. And if you do that well, your business will just grow that much better.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So like a lot of times this is where we say empathy marketing comes in, right? You have to really be, empathize with your potential customers and realize where they are in their life. Like what's their daily life like? What type of objections that they could have when it comes to buying your type of product. So ask yourself these type of questions. I really want this, but what if blank? And can you the more objections you can handle on your pages, the more likely you will convert those sales.
Yep, absolutely. So we've covered emotion, we've covered logic, and like how to leverage those two together. What are some other tactics or elements that you can use to help convert the sale as part of this process?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So we've covered that 50% of the buyers usually are the impulse buyers, and we cover that logic also converts people. Say that's like about 30%. The last 20% usually comes from just needing the right deal. Like I need the right deal to really convert, right? And that could be you have a lower price point than the other sites that you're selling, or you have a scarcity, right? This product is only limited until this time. Or if you don't buy this product, we won't have this price ever, right? This is only a one-time offer. So scarcity and fear is what you would use. It could be like, limited edition, scarcity, or fear of missing out, right? So this type of emotion, fear, is how you close the last 20% of the sale. And that's usually actually like visually constructed as on the site as well. So if you go on Lucky Orange, you have any heat maps on your store, you typically see like above the fold, 50% of the people who would scroll through that part. And then if you scroll down further, you will have like maybe like 20%, 30%. And then at the bottom of the page, you have like, only 20% of the view. And that comes into like how you lay out your page as well, right? The top 50% is where the emotional triggers comes in. You put in a lot of lifestyle images, a lot of copy that's about emotional, how to satisfy their need. And then if you scroll down further, you talk about the logical parts, right? The objection handlings, the UVPs. And then if you scroll down to the bottom, it's about limited edition, or this sale is only available for the next 3 days. So emotion, logic, and fear, like scarcity and fear of missing out, is how you close that last deal. And that's how you hit the impulse buyers, the thinkers, and you throw the last, fear of missing out, scarcity type of deal, then you convert all the 100% of the sale.
Yep. And that, guys, that everything he just said is, if you think about, and I know everybody listening to this, you've all been on a sales page before, an info product sales page or a direct response landing page. You think about it, you have the headline where you kind of starts to hook you. And then what do they go into first? The very first thing is emotion, right? And then after the emotion, they've set you up. Then they're going to talk about, what this includes, right? What the course is about. And then after that, they're like, hey, limited time, price is rising, only 20 seats or whatever it is. So it's the same process, right?
Yeah.
And it's very much more visual if you look at it from a sales page perspective on like an info product or something else. And I'm only telling you guys that so that you guys can visually see it. Same thing. You go look at any landing page that is long form selling you something. It follows that emotional, logic, and then scarcity type process. And you may tie in other bits of emotion and logic throughout the other areas as well, or you can maybe move scarcity up a little bit to start it. But it all follows that basic flow.
Yeah.
The most successful products in e-commerce follow this same process. You just, most people don't take the time to do it. They do only the logic, or they shortcut the logic and they just copy and paste something from the manufacturer's website, which is somewhat logic-y, but not really. And then they use some kind of spammy, hey, only 5 left. Like we see that all the time in the print on demand space, guys. You're selling print on demand. There's not only 5 left or only 15 left or whatever. You have an unlimited amount. So you're just literally, that's the wrong way to use scarcity, right? But you're like, but you haven't done a job of using emotion or logic correctly. So without that spammy, scuzzy scarcity, you don't get any sales. So the idea is that you need to do it you have to do this with, integrity and moral ethics and all of that stuff, do unto others. But if you do that and we're not talking about, I know I keep saying sales page, but and what Joe is saying, what I'm saying is not that it has to be some long, huge, drawn out thing. Product copy can still be short and punchy and still take people through all three of those areas. But there's no such thing as too much copy. There's only such thing as boring or useful copy. So it's either valuable to them or it's not. There's no issue on length as long as it's useful to them. And then you can use progressive disclosure like we've talked about before, and tabs and things like that to break up the copy, right?
Yeah. And it's also like right now we're talking about just a page structure, like on one page, right? Emotional, and logical, and then scarcity and fear. You can also use the same concept of emotions, logic, and fear in your sales process, like how your touch points with your potential customers. Meaning, if you have a emotional based copywriting type of ad, you get a bunch of people onto the page, and the emotional buyers just buy it right away. The logicals, maybe they bounce off the page, but you can do like remarketing, on retargeting on your Facebook, right? People who landed but didn't buy, you can hit them with different type of ad, like logical based ad, like objection handling type of ads, and they will come back to your page. And if they still didn't buy, you can still retarget them with the right deal, like 20% off if you buy now, like stuff like that. So it's not only about just one physical page, how you should structure your page. It's actually also how you should approach your customers through a time frame, through different touch points in the sales funnel process.
Yeah, I'm glad you made that point, because that's true. Your entire marketing and advertising strategy can follow that same thing. And again, think about the ads, the good ads that you get hit with. They may hit you with emotion first. You like a testimonial or somebody talking about how awesome the product is, like Joe was saying with his friend and with Jeremy in the MacBook, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the emotional story. You're like, oh, that's so cool. I love that those shoes are so awesome. Listen to this guy talk about how cool these shoes are. Listen to this celebrity say they wear them every day because they're the most comfortable shoes they've ever had. And then maybe you click through or you don't. And then next, you're thinking about those a little bit in the back of your head. Then you see another ad that says, hey, these shoes are stain proof. They're waterproof. They've even got a hidden steel toe cap in them, so they don't hurt you. Like you can't, if something drops in your feet, you're not going to crush yourself. And they fit all these different sizes, or they fit wide feet or to narrow feet or whatever. And you're like, man, these shoes are looking even better. But you still haven't quite put. And then you see you get retargeted to another ad that's like, by the way, we're having a blowout sale on spring sale, or a sale on these colors or whatever. And so you've never even visited the product page yet, but you've just been taken through the exact same journey that happens in the copy, right? Mm-hmm. Through your ads. So you can do the same thing with your emails. We always talk about how all email sequences should be, and promos should be at least 3 emails long, right? Because this, 3 emails is way more effective than 1 or 2. It's like, geometric growth in that regard. But those emails, why 3? Well, because you can hit all 3 angles. Each email can have a little bit, it may even hit all 3 of them in one, but you could rearrange it. And then you've got your impulse buyers, you've got your logic buyers, and you've got your people who are on the fence and only buy when they're kicked in the pants, like pushed. That's the way, that can all work. And then you could do it, or you could do the 1, 2, 3, and then a final closing email that hits all 3 people. Like, hey, if this is what you're thinking, here's this. If this is what you're thinking, here's the logic. If this is what you're thinking, here's the reason you don't want to wait, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a holistic approach to what you're doing that Joe's talking about here. Yeah. Now, Joe, the other piece of this is, okay, I need to get in their head. I need to know the story. I need to know the emotions they're feeling. I need to know the logic, all that stuff. But where can I find this kind of data that I can use? Where do I get this stuff?
Yeah. So a good way to do it, if you already have a store and you already have customers and you want to improve, is you install this post-purchase survey email flow. Whenever someone comes to your store and purchases a product, you basically send them a survey, and you incentivize them to fill out the survey. You typically give out some gift card or discount codes. And this survey basically asks 7 and 8 questions that really dive deep into their hopes and dreams, why they're just choosing products from your site, Why are they buying? What's the one thing that almost stopped them from buying? And how would they recommend this product to their friends? And you basically, and I think our podcast has gone through a lot deeper on this specific subject on other episodes, and you guys can, go back and listen. But what this survey essentially will do is it would tell you what type of customers are actually buying your product. What type of pains, objections that they might have or have had when they purchase your product. And that's where a lot of it takes time, like to do research and do all this reading. But once you understand why a person comes to your site and purchases a product, who are they purchasing it for, and what was that one thing that almost stopped them from buying, you can get all these idea of like who this person really is, right? We talked about last time I was on the podcast, we talked about the customer avatar. And when you do all this research, you get clearer and clearer of what this person looks like, what type of pain, objections, stories that this person might have had. And that gives you a lot of copywriting materials to get into building a better report with this person. And that's where you go your data, right?
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you brought up the customer avatar because, one thing to survey your customers, but you do that and then you can continually refine your customer avatar. And then you're like, because a lot of people I'm sure are listening to this and going, man, I don't know what they're thinking, but okay, cool. You don't have to know what everybody's thinking. Just go back to your avatar. What is Jane thinking? Okay, because you already have the avatar. You've told her story. Now, if you don't know about the avatar, again, go back and listen to Joe's episode where we talk about the customer avatar and how to build that. But you've got a story of, Jane is a single mother of two. She's a software engineer. She loves, yoga, Lululemon and this, and she lives here and she does this and she rents, but she really wants to buy a home. But you have all this like background data on her. And then you start surveying your customers. You start finding out what's in their head. What are the things that she deals with and how does that pertain to your product? And you can tighten your avatar. And again, all you're doing is looking at Jane, your customer avatar, saying, okay, this is the story that Jane tells herself. These are the emotions that she has. These are the things, and here's what our product does. And here's how we can tie in. So I'm going to write create my video ad or my sales page or my email, because as I'm speaking to Jane, using not only what I know about her, but also what I know from the emotional standpoint. And hey, you know what? Jane's emotional, but she's definitely got those two, guys on her or ladies on her shoulder telling her what to do. One's pro, one's con, one's logical, one's emotional. What kind of logic is important to Jane? Well, she's a single mom with two kids, and so if this is a kid product, durability is important, price is important. That it's not. She's willing to spend the money as long as the quality is good. What she doesn't want to do is waste money on something that's going to break or wear out too fast, because that's happened too many times before. And she's, as a single mom, she's got to, count her pennies and be very careful. So
yeah,
you have that. You tell that story using the customer avatar. It makes it much easier to do everything that Joe's telling you. Without the customer avatar, honestly, Joe, what do you think? Do you think it's doable or not doable without an avatar?
No, it is. You just won't make money, right? You might start losing money a lot quicker than most e-com stores. And with the market being, very saturated, you have to do it right.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And I guess like besides custom avatars, if you don't have that yet, a good way to look at it would be reviews. Look at your product reviews, look at your competitors' product reviews, and go in deeper and look at even your Facebook comments on your ads. Like, what questions are people asking? What type of, are they tagging your friends? And when they tag their friends, what are they talking about? Like, just really get in deeper on the customer's level and look at what they're thinking. And that's where you get data. Yeah,
absolutely. Awesome. Well, guys, what I need you to do right now, this was great. Obviously, Joe just spilled the beans on a whole lot of stuff for you guys. But what I need you to do right now is make sure you are subscribed both on, iTunes or Spotify or wherever you're listening to the podcast, and also on YouTube. This is a video podcast, and you're going to want to be able to see the videos when we share stuff on the screen and show you stores and stuff like that. To get the links for that, go to buildgrowscale.com/podcast. You can also get the show notes there, as well as links to all the platforms where you can find the podcast. And then the final thing I'd like to ask you guys is, if you enjoy the show, leave us a review, whatever platform you're on. Leave a comment, leave a review. Tell us what you like. Tell your friends about it. Give us ideas for additional shows that you'd like us to cover, topics and things like that. Because again, this show is for you guys. So Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode. See ya.
Bye.